Now, there's a massive political war that's broken out over the centre's stunning statement, and this is a written statement in the Rajya Sabha claiming that there were no deaths reported in the country due to oxygen shortage during the second COVID wave. MOS Health, Bharti Praveen Pawar Made made a written response in which she made this claim on a question raised by Congress MP KC Venugopal. The Modi government on its part blamed states for not sharing data with the centre. A fuming opposition then lashed out at the centre for lying and for misleading the public. Leading the charge, you had Congress condemning the claim, saying that the MOS Health had misled the House by giving false information and that the party will be moving a privilege motion against the minister. Congress MP Rahul Gandhi in a tweet slammed the centre and termed the Modi government as insensitive. The Chhattisgarh Health Minister T.S. Singh Dio said, however, that in his state, no one genuinely died due to a lack of oxygen. Countering T.S. Singh Dio's tweet, BJP's Amit Malviya took a swipe at Rahul Gandhi over Congress's hypocrisy.
I am totally surprised. Government has given a reply today that nobody in the country has died due to the shortage of oxygen. We saw how much patients died due to the lack of oxygen. We know. Actually, the minister misled the House. I will move a privilege against that minister, definitely, because this is actually he misguided and misled the House, giving false information to the House.
Now, 67% of Indians surveyed have developed protection against COVID-19, at least antibodies, and this is, remember, for the time being. But here's why we shouldn't be celebrating, because we're far from herd immunity right now. Sneha Mordani explains the latest details from the serosurvey conducted.
The ICMR's latest serosurvey brings some good news. It says 2/3 of Indians have antibodies. But then comes a warning. 1/3 of India's population is still at risk. So the threat is very much there. This was the 4th serosurvey carried out by ICMR. And this is what its findings were. 67.6% Indians have developed antibodies against COVID. 2/3 of India's population has antibodies. 40 crore Indians are still at risk.
So the implications of this large serosurvey done as round number 4 clearly show that there is a ray of hope. But there is no room for complacency. We must maintain COVID-appropriate behavior and community engagement.
Another encouraging dimension to the latest serosurvey is the steep increase in antibodies among children.
A large proportion of children across the different socioeconomic strata have already developed infection without them developing severe disease. Like in one of the survey in Delhi, around 80% of children in particular area were with antibodies, so they are protected.
But again, experts have sounded a note of caution on the figures.
We have 1/3 of our population, that is 40 crore people, who are still susceptible to developing COVID-19 infection, and 50% of the children have not yet developed antibodies. So instead of relaxing because the numbers of active infections are not very high and releasing the lockdown, we should focus on aggressive vaccination drive. We still have 1/10 of the healthcare workers who have not yet been vaccinated, and that is the gap we need to fill.
The recently published serosurveillance study by ICMR suggests that about 67% of the population may be seropositive and have antibodies. However, these studies are done on small numbers and may not represent each state or population. This also leaves about 1/3 of the population, even in the areas studied, vulnerable. Presence of antibodies does not guarantee immunity against COVID infection, especially with the different variants. Therefore, COVID-safe behavior must continue at least until 70 to 80% of the country is fully vaccinated. As advised by ICMR itself, while this study is a ray of hope, there is no room for complacency at this time.
A serosurvey gives a broad picture of India's situation on the COVID front. What is clear is that the country has a long way to go in the battle against the virus. With Sneha Mordani in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
And let's get you the latest updates this morning on the Punjab Congress tussle. Captain Amarinder Singh versus Navjot Singh Sidhu. That war is far from over even after supposed truce formula was out. In a big escalation, the Punjab Chief Minister's closest aide and media advisor, Raveen Tukral, has put out a sensational tweet saying that no meeting with Sidhu will happen till he publicly apologizes. In his tweet, he said that Captain and Sidhu will talk, and that's possible only after Sidhu publicly makes an apology for his derogatory social media attacks and his public criticism against the Chief Minister. Further, Tukral also said that so far the newly appointed PCC chief hasn't even come out and sought time to meet with the Punjab Chief Minister formally. This comes after Congress MLA from Jalandhar Cantonment and close aide of Sidhu, Pargat Singh, had launched a scathing attack on Amarinder. He said that if somebody has to apologise, it should be the Chief Minister because he's failed to fulfill promises made to the people. Now, the Pegasus Snoop files continue to dominate Indian politics. For the second straight day, both houses of parliament were adjourned as the opposition demanded a debate on the allegations of surveillance. The TMCs declared that it will simply not let parliament function till there's a debate on the issue. The Shiv Sena has demanded that there be a joint parliamentary committee probe into the charges of snooping. Expect all of these issues to echo again in parliament today.
Protests.
Sir, I lay on the table. मेरा आप सभी से निवेदन है कि अपने अपने स्थान ग्रहण करिए और बहस में भाग लीजिए.
Hangama. The opposition and Narendra Modi government are on a collision course.
Please अपनी सीट पर जाए.
At the center of it all is, you've guessed it, the Pegasus hacking scandal. These were the scenes in both houses of parliament on Tuesday as soon as it convened for the second day of the monsoon session. Right from the word go, the opposition targeted the government, demanding a joint parliamentary commission probe into the alleged spying scandal.
There are issues of concern. We should not read only in the newspapers or see in the television, sir.
I agree with you. Anandji, I got the point.
My submission I have made, sir.
I agree with you totally. There is a need for 267.
The Congress led the charge, seeking Home Minister Amit Shah's resignation.
ये इल्जाम सीधे तौर पर हमारे गृह मंत्रालय पर लगता है, तो गृह मंत्री को इस्तीफा देना चाहिए और दूसरा इसको judicial probe होना चाहिए.
The Congress's ally in Maharashtra too joined the bandwagon seeking a joint parliamentary committee probe.
प्रधानमंत्री गृह मंत्री की एक जिम्मेदारी है कि देश के सामने आकर सच बताए.
The Trinamool Congress insisted it won't let Parliament run until a debate on the snooping scandal takes place.
We would urge this government to come out and lay on the floor of the House, yes or no. Is India a client of NSO? Yes or no? And we can guarantee that the minister or the home minister will not be able to say no because India is a client of the NSO.
The centre has vehemently rejected the charges.
There is no government ka even an iota of link is there in that. But in spite of that, if they want to raise through a proper procedure, to a proper rule, let them raise. Government has already made a suo motu statement.
The BJP has termed it a smear campaign by the opposition.
समाज में एक विषाक्त वातावरण पैदा करने का जो कुत्सित प्रयास हो रहा है, राजनीति के घटते हुए गिरते हुए स्तर को प्रदर्शित करता है. विपक्ष पूरी तरह नकारात्मक भूमिका में के साथ में है.
In the meantime, the whole scandal is getting only bigger. The latest revelation claims that Pegasus software may have been used to snoop on Karnataka ministers and their aides before the Congress JDS government was toppled in 2019. On the list were secretaries of then Chief Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy and Congress leader Siddaramaiah. G. Parameshwara, the Deputy Chief Minister at the time, was also a potential hacking target.
It is a crime according to me. It's a crime committed by the Government of India. It has to be raised in both the houses of Parliament.
As politics rages on, the French daily Le Monde has made new revelations, claiming diplomats of Pakistan, China were potentially hacking targets in India. And not just them. The newspaper alleges diplomats of friendly nations like Iran, Afghanistan, Nepal and Saudi Arabia too were on the snooping list. With Kamaljit Sandhu and Anand Patel in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, the latest revelation in the Pegasus snooping scandal, as we just told you in that report, has led to another showdown, which is because of the software being used to snoop on Karnataka ministers and their aides. This is before the Congress JDS government had toppled in 2019. As per reports, the phone numbers of key Karnataka players were selected around the time of Operation Kamla. And on the list were secretaries of then Chief Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy and Congress leader Siddaramaiah. G. Parameshwara, the Deputy Chief Minister at the time, was also a potential hacking target. A fuming Karnataka State Congress unit will be holding a march to Raj Bhavan on Thursday against the alleged snooping by the centre.
This, undoubtedly, the Government of India should announce the Supreme Court investigation should take place, whatever the form of investigation as our party has requested, by the heading a Supreme Court judge. I think this investigation has to take out. Then only the law of this country will prevail.
This is not surprising issue. According to me, this kind of phone tapping issues, it is going on from several years, according to me. After hearing all these things, I am not surprised. Even my government collapsed because of central government involvement in these issues. Because even all parties, that's why I am telling you, whoever in the power in the center, they are little bit in this our Indian constitution, they have some extra powers compared to state. They will use it.
Shilpa Shetty's husband Raj Kundra has been sent to police custody till 23rd July as an alleged key conspirator in a shocking porn scandal. The police have found considerable amount of foreign currency in Vian Company's account. This company is owned by Kundra. A sensational link to a UK-based firm called Kernan Productions has also emerged. WhatsApp chats show that Kundra was seen allegedly discussing the production of porn films and the kind of revenue that he was getting.
Raj Kundra, a celebrity businessman, now arrested for allegedly running a porn racket. He is being accused of making and selling pornographic material using digital apps. The investigation dates back to 2020. Kundra was booked for producing and creating porn content by the Maharashtra Cyber Police last year. The state police had booked multiple OTT platforms, which included Kundra's application Hot Shots. Hot Shots was developed by Arms Prime Media and was later sold to UK-based Kernan Films. Cyber Police had arrested a photographer and a woman working as creative director for Arms Prime. Kundra was given interim bail in the case then. Hot Shots application has now been removed from Google and Apple App Store. The application's digital traces reveal that it offered HD videos and short movies with what it claimed to have unmatched exposure. The app also promised private content from hot photo shoots, short movies, and experience of the lifestyle of celebrities from all over the world. Some social media posts reveal contests were held that enabled users to vote for their favorite models. Mumbai police claims actors were forced to shoot nude and semi-nude films.
It was observed during the investigation that some small-time artists were lured into giving break in some web series or some short stories. They were asked to, they were called for auditions and were asked to give some bold scenes, which later on translated into semi-nudity and complete nude scenes also, which was against their wishes. So some of these victims, they approached Crime Branch Mumbai. We registered the offence and investigated. During investigation, we found out that there were many such apps which were operating in this cyber world.
Kundra has been denying the charges and says he has been made a scapegoat in the case. The police, however, claim to be building a watertight case around him. Bureau Report, India Today.